Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. And boy, it's been a wild couple of days over here in the cryptocurrency market. So today we're going to take a look at the Bitcoin price chart. We'll take a look at the XRP price chart. We'll take a look at the altcoins and see what's kind of going on here throughout the market. Over the last couple of days, we've been talking about with Bitcoin's big fall and then its retracement and whether or not it's going to clear through all these retracement levels. Just a day and a half ago, 2 days ago, we did poke our head just above that 0.786 Fibonacci level. Then we did fall back down. Yesterday, during my recording time, I usually record about 2 or 3 hours after I have an opportunity to look at the charts. And during the whole time, we just kept falling and falling and falling, waiting for the prices to kind of calm down. It makes it really difficult to record when there's a lot of price action. But right now, the prices are pretty steady, so it makes it a lot easier to do it when we can kind of analyze the data that we do see. But we've got a couple of interesting things going on with Bitcoin right now. And if you've been in this market for a long time, especially if you were here in 2017, you know that a lot of the altcoin prices are dictated by what's going on with Bitcoin. Bitcoin kind of leads the show. And it's just like that over there in the US stock market. You'll see all big tech fall and you'll see everything else in the market fall at the same time. The market in itself as a whole is usually pretty tied together. Yesterday was a pretty red day for the whole market. Today, you could look on the right side of that screen, see everything is a little green today. But the big question, of course, is what's happening with Bitcoin right here. So my opinion still remains that Bitcoin is going to be setting higher prices before any type of monstrous crash comes. However, monstrous can be in the eye of the beholder, I believe, on what you consider to be scary and what's not scary. For me, when I'm looking at this, I look at it and say, oh, right, it looks like there's 4 waves going on here, that we are now in the 4th wave of this entire rise. And well, when we have this 4th wave correction in here, there's several things that can happen. You can have an ABC correction that can look something like this before we go on to set new high prices afterwards. Or we can look back to how a lot of these corrections have happened previously, in which just a B wave that goes lower never seems to surface from itself. You can see they just continue to climb. So right now, as we're in this consolidation happening with Bitcoin before its next move, it's getting a little murky, right? On what's the short-term price action going to be? Are we going to have a dip that's going to go even lower? Are we just going to kind of hold it through here and consolidate for a while before moving to the next way up? For me, being in this market for a long time and trying to have the vision of what is the future further out look like, right? Not so much of what is tomorrow, what does next week, but what does the next few months look like to me? And in the end, my opinion is that we'll eventually have a correction that will come down much lower than where we're at right now. We're at 37,360. I think that we're going to likely come up here and get up into the 50,000s before having a big fall down that takes us somewhere down in here into these lower 20s, potentially lower. Who knows? We'll watch it at the time and we'll kind of draw it out once we have more information and we can make measurements with the information on the charts. But in the end, that the prices will eventually come lower. The thing is, that could take several months before that ends up playing out. And a lot of people don't have that type of patience, right? Buying today to get the moon today. But when we go back and look at previous corrections, we say, okay, is it going to be something like this that takes this long to play out? Is it going to be something like that takes that long to play out? Are we looking at something like this that takes this long to play out? This whole correction that happened in here, it's the same structures as what we saw happen back in here. Big rise up, consolidation, then your capitulation crash that takes out the bottom before it continues to go up even higher. We have that same thing going on in here. Are we going to see a same kind of structure happen in here? But the fortunate thing is, if we are, we look like we're somewhere like right in here. Like there's still one more leg up that has to happen, but do we have a C leg that happens here before we start moving our way up first, and then the longer big correction eventually comes? We'll keep monitoring it as time goes on, but when we look at this and we look at the correction of it, you can see that we do have an A, B, C move back up into our top Fibonacci levels. So at this point right now, it's looking like a further move down to the downside before the next move to the upside. But really, it's just guessing at this point right now. There's not too much information except that we could see ABC. We could see that this went below the top of A. Since it went below the top of A, that doesn't mean that we're having a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. It looks more like an ABC with a further correction to continue, or we see what's happened where it still just holds these lows and just has way more consolidation that it has to do to the sideways area before getting up. but I don't think that we have had our parabolic blow off top for this move yet. And I still have the expectations that prices will continue higher, and most likely up to near 50 to 55,000, somewhere around there, before we have a big correction. And again, some people may find that a correction down to here first is a big correction. But in my opinion, I deem this as possible, but I don't deem this as being the big correction. What would be really interesting about this, though, is that in a lot of the bull cycles with Bitcoin, it's typically in that fifth wave where we do see an alt season. So will we see some type of pre-alt season take place up in here that would take place in this moment as well? So I am expecting an alt season to begin after we have the monstrous crash, but are we going to also get a little bit of a pre-pump taking place in here? That would be interesting as well, because this would be the fifth wave of the move. We'll watch it, but just know that Bitcoin seems to be in kind of a slop zone now. I think we're starting to kind of see the beginning formations of what a top is going to look like, at least a temporary top that could lead to a prolonged correction. I don't think we're going to be setting Bitcoin's permanent top up here, unless if we get up into the 70s or 80s, something like that, then I could see that possibly happening. But if we don't, if we come up into like the higher 40s, lower 50s, and then do a big correction, I don't expect that to be the absolute top, but that could be the top for several months to come, or at least for a majority of the rest of the year. But when we start seeing things like these big ones after we've already had several waves to the upside, it looks like we're probably starting to build what will eventually look like a big old head and shoulders up in here. And for all the head and shoulders people out there, I think you'll get what you are looking for, with a big fat fall down, just like something like that. Usually these head and shoulders will look pretty clear. We can go back and look at previous ones. Even when you had Bitcoin's top, you had a pretty clear one going on up in here. When you had these ones back in here, you could see them like this. Let's go like that, and you could see pretty clearly what they were looking like at the time. Let's put one over here too. Pretty clear that you could see them over here as well. I don't think that we're there. I think if we are somewhere in a corrective structure, that we're in something like this, right? So you can see how the slop zone kind of continues for quite a while, with some higher pricing coming in, eventually leading to a much bigger crash. But in my opinion, I think we're more in something like this right now than more so in something like this. But you could see ABCs do happen in these corrections heading up to the tops. And I think that is more likely where we're at in one of these types of things, rather than actually being in one of these right here, right before things get absolutely out of control. But still, as you can see, an ABC can still take place, and we can get a C leg here in this short-term correction. As for the altcoins, so the total altcoin market cap here is still right back up at that 0.702 when it had this big correction here for Bitcoin. It took a big step back from there, back testing this breakout level, but you can see it's right back at that 702 again. So the altcoins are recovering from a lot of this. We'll take a look at XRP here in a minute. Obviously still one of the ones that are struggling, but a lot of these altcoins are starting to recover now from this entire move that Bitcoin has had, waiting for that really big breakout of above 0.702 retracement of the entire bear market. So we haven't gotten there yet, but boy, we're really close, and it could be an exciting moment that happens in crypto. It would really make sense for a lot of euphoria to come into this market, right? So that's how I like to think about it. How many people have been getting text messages from people they haven't talked to in a long time? They're sending you screenshots of their portfolios. They've got like $150 in their PayPal account. They're really proud because they're up 50%. They think they're geniuses, right? How many people are going to start pouring in, getting excited? This is super easy. Oh my gosh, anybody can do it. We're starting to see those signs, right? That tops are starting to kind of come in. And really, if we have that fifth and final wave, that really provides a lot of that euphoria, right? I don't think we've gotten that euphoria yet, but you could see that it's starting to come. And really, once we get that bigger push to the upside and that euphoria, new paradigm, everybody's a winner kind of mentality, that's usually when tops come in. I don't think we have seen that yet. And what would things look like at that time? You'd see this big breakout in altcoins. You'd see this big move up in Bitcoin, and everybody's a winner and everybody's excited. And this is just super. It all makes sense, right? So how many people are, and look at the narratives, right? How many people didn't believe in it, cryptocurrencies, but now they're all super scared of the stimuluses that are going to be coming in 2021, and they didn't care about them in 2020. Now they suddenly care about them in 2021, and they realize that that's really bad for the dollar, and now they're finally coming into this, right? You're kind of witnessing the people who are coming in late to the party, and there will be more. And the second you hear and I always use this analogy in the bear market, if your grandma is buying man. If you start seeing grandma say, hey, how do I get me some of that Bitcoin? A bunch of people who have no business being in technology, but they're suddenly buying cryptocurrency, that's a really good sign at the top. And I don't think we've quite gotten there yet, but I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for a lot of my aunts and my uncles to text me and say, hey, I know you're into that crypto stuff. How do I get into it? That's where I've got to say, don't do it. Don't do it. You should have done it a long time ago. But I think we're getting close to there with how many people have been texting me. I see you guys posting it on Twitter a lot saying, you've got friends texting you, how do I buy stuff? How do I get in on it, right? Nobody wanted to get in on it when it was low. Everybody wants to get in on it when it's high, and especially if it goes much higher. And I think we're really close to that time. So we'll keep an eye over here on the total altcoin market cap, but you could see the altcoins are also pushing up against a critical level, right? So we don't have the answers right now on are we breaking up right now? And that's the big kind of nail biting thing for me, right? It's real easy for me to be confident that we're going to be getting all the way up to these levels, but you can kind of start to get a little uneasy once we get to here, right? Now it's the time where we have to break through, right? We see a lot of new people pouring into this market at this time. We see these critical price levels coming in. Now it's time to really clear through these and break through these levels. So that's when I will get excited once I see that level right there get taken out for the total altcoin market cap, and we can really start pushing up into higher prices. Because right now, technically speaking, it's just a retrace. That's all it is at this exact time. But fortunately, we've seen Bitcoin break out into new all-time highs, and we've seen Ethereum go much higher than this level as well. Ethereum has gotten back up to the all-time high, nearly very, very close to the all-time high. So from a total altcoin perspective, if we track to what the rest of the big money is doing, the two biggest ones, Bitcoin and Ethereum, hopefully we're going to get through here as well, because we've seen both of those, the two largest ones, get through it as well. So we'll keep an eye on this throughout the week as well. This morning, we have seen some optimism. You have seen that Cardano has gone on to set a new high this morning, so that's a good sign. And then really the big one a lot of us are waiting for here on this channel, people who watch this channel, we follow XRP tremendously, and while we're still waiting on that one, right? So we'll see if these fractals end up playing out. These fractals do put it right up there, exactly where the total altcoin market cap is, which is about $2.30. So XRP still suppressed very low. It does have the exchange suspension on Coinbase that will be happening on the 19th. So you'll not be able to trade it anymore on Coinbase come the 19th. But we're watching this very closely to see what's going to happen at that time, right? It's going to be wild, right? What happens if that delisting happens and then suddenly the price bumps and U.S. citizens are kind of left out of it? But fortunately for U.S. citizens, we have located places that are still allowing the trading of XRP, and that's going to be on Kraken and that's going to be on Uphold. So those two places still are doing trading for XRP in the United States, so you do have an avenue, but we still just sit here and wait. And if we get something crazy happen with XRP, you can see how fast it can happen, and you can see that fractal takes it exactly to where the total altcoin market cap is right now and gets it right back up to average pricing for the rest of the market. So we just sit here and we wait on that for XRP. Over the last 2 weeks, we had discussed how a crashing structure will look like. This is where the news from the SEC got dropped, where the SEC filed a lawsuit against Ripple, the company, claiming that XRP is a security, which deviated it away from the rest of the market. But we could see that the completion of the crashing structure happened down here at 17 cents. So I still do believe that is the bottom for XRP. Now it's just waiting for its opportunity to fire out of here. When we look at this, of course, there's the big levels that have to get cleared in here. You have all your retracement levels in here. XRP has a tendency to find resistance there at that 50% retracement level. And then, of course, you have them all the way up until here. So you have big resistance that's between 48 cents and between 65 cents. But if it just kind of clears through there and just gets right on through, really positive signs, and looking for that catch up back to the rest of the market up here near 230. So we'll keep an eye over here on Bitcoin. We'll keep an eye on that total altcoin market cap, but you can see what's going on here, right? We're finding some serious resistance up in here. That altcoin market has hit a very critical retracement level, and Bitcoin has found some resistance as well. So right now, it's just a wait and see. Are we going to get through these levels, or do we have more correcting that we have to do? In the end, we're just trying to get through those levels, and things start getting exciting again once we get through them. But right now, it's that nail biting moment of, come on, we got to break through this stuff, because there's without a question resistance there for the altcoin market, and it's coming in right here as Bitcoin's at this price level too. So as we get through this weekend, we'll kind of see if, hey, are we going to actually have this fall down right here and kind of measure out and see how deep this ABC would eventually take us, and that would get us to set just barely new lows for a C leg right down in here. You could just barely take it out right there, back down into this area about almost 30,000, between 29 and 30,000 for a measured move? Or does it hold it just like we've seen throughout 2020, right? So in 2017, we had lots of these ABCs that took place before going on to set the final fifth wave. But in 2020, it has seemed to hold it every time. We never eventually get that C leg. So right now, it's just a wait and see. We're just trying to get through the resistance levels, and hopefully throughout the week, we get more information on how long that's going to take. So it's really a wait and see moment right now. A lot of people want to know when, how. Tell me exactly how it's going to play out. And well, there you go. It's a hard thing, right? And we're starting to build a top, and I hope you can understand that a top is starting to get built here. I think the prices will continue to go higher, even if it has to have a little bit of a correction there for Bitcoin. I think the prices will still continue to go even higher, but you're watching the beginning formations of what a top looks like. We're starting to see early profit taking happen in here. We're seeing lots of media coverage on Bitcoin, lots of it. How many people's moms or anybody are texting them? And my mom did this the other day. She texted me and said, "Hey, is that story true about the guy with $220 million in Bitcoin and he's only got 2 password attempts left to try?" Right? I mean, it's like that. Those kinds of narratives are getting pushed out to the public. They're putting Bitcoin in front of everybody's eyes right now. They were not doing that when the prices were $4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 8,000, 9, 10, 11, 12. They were not doing that at that time. But now that the prices are much higher, media coverage is heavily focused on Bitcoin. So I do believe we're starting to see the beginning setups of what a top is going to be looking like. I don't think it's in yet. I think there's still the potential that there's a C leg here in this fourth wave where we do go down to about that $29,000 to $30,000 price zone. It's possible we don't because we didn't do that at all in 2020. But when we go back and look at corrections back in 2017, we did that multiple times. Either way, it's still a no action zone for me, right? Not financial advice, not investment advice, but I'm telling you what I'm doing. And that's what I'm still just going to continue to hold through all of this. It's still a no action level for me, even if we have a C leg down, correcting a little bit further before making our next leg up. Still a no action zone for me. In the end, I'm holding on for dear life. I'm still holding. I haven't made any big moves, but once I do make some big moves, I'll let all of you guys know right away. But let's wrap this up. If you guys would like to do something over the weekend, you can check out my website over here. It's bcbacker.com. I do have like 27 videos on here, 27 videos where I'm deep diving into all of these previous Bitcoin bull runs, showing you what my mindset has been like going into this, riding this thing all the way up. I just provided some recent updates in here last week where I did progress updates on how we're doing throughout here compared to what we were kind of looking at and expecting. I got it for Ethereum, XRP, Litecoin, and my personal exit plan right down in here. And when we were looking at forecasting the targets for the next Bitcoin bull run, I included a progress update on how that's doing compared to what we expected. And lastly, I did include a new chart in here for tracking multiple altcoin percentage changes. So for me, I've got a lot of altcoins and I'm trying to consolidate that down. It's a lot of stuff that accumulated in like 2017, 18, 19, a lot of stuff that's just been sitting there, and how I'm planning on rebalancing, rotating, and reducing this portfolio down from a lot of altcoins down to just a few. But you could check out my website over here. It's bcbacker.com. You could follow me over here on Twitter at bcbacker. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you're having a fantastic weekend. I hope that you're getting wonderful weather to get outside and enjoy it. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need to pick me up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.